How do I even start these things? Hello, it has been a long time since I've done one of these update videos. So for those that don't know, my name is Harry. I am the director behind On the Fence, which is a feature-length film that focuses on the plight of Australia's most misunderstood apex predator, the dingo. I've spent about 4 years making this film, and I'm excited to say that the end is very, very near. I wanted to make this video to share some updates on where I've been the last 12 months, what the next 6 months are going to look like, and how you can get involved throughout the entire process. I spent Christmas with my family for my niece's first ever Christmas, which was incredibly wholesome, and then spent about 2 weeks in the New South Wales high country filming alpine dingoes, which was an amazing experience. Being able to see an alpine dingo in the wild is something that I do not take for granted, given how heavily persecuted these particular dingoes are. I then also filmed my first ever rainforest dingo, which was incredible. They are such a beautiful but different looking animal that I just was enthralled to see, and it was such an exciting opportunity. And then the rest of the year, I've really been working towards the biggest trip that this whole documentary revolved around, and that was filming at the Dingo Fence. So for those of you that don't know, the Dingo Fence is a 5,600 kilometre fence that cuts through, it starts in Queensland, cuts through New South Wales, goes down the South Australia and New South Wales border, and then into South Australia and down at the Nullarbor. So it is an insanely large structure and is the entire premise of this film. So obviously I needed to spend a good amount of time filming at this particular location, and thankfully I was able to do that. I've spent about 3 weeks driving along the Dingo Fence all through Queensland, New South Wales and South Australia, and then was also lucky enough to spend some time at a sheep station that bordered on New South Wales and South Australia that had a few hundred kilometres of dingo fence on their property. Now, during this year, I wanted to take it as an opportunity to really slow down the development of On the Fence. For the last year and a bit, it had just been go, go, go. It had been all consuming and honestly exhausting. So being able to have the opportunity to, Lily, come here. So we adopted a dog, and she is running around at the moment. So she's in the background. I apologize. Lily, come here. Do you want to say hello? This is Lily. Thanks for that, dog. What was I saying? So I wanted to take this year as an opportunity to go a bit slower and really be intentional with my time and what I dedicate my time, energy and resources to. And you know, I'd spent the last few years advocating for dingoes and talking about non-lethal management and all of these sorts of things without having much experience on the ground and facing the difficulties that farmers and landholders face. So understandably, it's like, why would someone listen to what I have to say if I've never had to experience the difficulties that these people face? And without having livestock myself and relying on that livestock for an income, I never will be able to know that. But the next best thing is being invited onto the property and living with and working with people that do rely on the dingo fence for their livelihood. And thankfully, that's exactly what I did. I traveled along the dingo fence for probably about 1,000 kilometers. And my final destination was a sheep station that I was very, very grateful to be invited to stay with and work with for a few days. And being able to see the vastness of 350,000 hectares and running 15-odd thousand sheep right along the dingo fence in some of the most inhospitable country Australia has to offer was incredibly eye-opening. And it's all well and good to say, you know, we need livestock guardian animals and we need donkeys, we need maremas, we need non-lethal management solutions. While I agree, there is no silver bullet. It just doesn't work that way, unfortunately. And without having seen that for myself, I didn't understand that. But now I do. And that time at this property has genuinely changed the trajectory of this entire film. I am incredibly grateful for their time, their patience, and their willingness to be vulnerable and open about the struggles that they face every day raising dingoes. Definitely not raising dingoes, raising livestock in some incredibly inhospitable country. And you know, I think another thing I learned this year is that advocacy and change doesn't happen behind computer screens. It doesn't happen on social media. It doesn't happen by inflammatory posts or comments or inciting anger through people. Change happens through conversations and relationships and working alongside people and finding what you have in common, not what you have differences. Lily, you look like you're striking a pose out there. So what's next? I hope that's the question that you're asking right now. And that answer is easy. Now is the editing. And obviously along the way, I've been doing short edits from each trip and compiling all this footage, but I currently have around 30 terabytes worth of footage and another 20 sitting on another hard drive. So all up, I have an insane amount of footage to go through, and that is incredibly tedious, but I think that's where you can really get into the nitty-gritty and find the story within all of this. And I am very excited to say that I'm on that journey right now. I've started editing, I've started compiling music and the sound effects and all of the amazing things that you can build within an edit, and I'm incredibly excited for what's to come. So when can you see this film? Another question that I hope more than one person is asking. The short answer is I don't know right now. I'm hoping to have it by mid next year, so halfway through 2026, it will be finished. However, what I'm going to do with the film, once it's finished, I can't say too much. I know it's incredibly exciting. I know it will be accessible to a lot of people, but I also know that getting it in front of as many people as possible is my goal. And to do that, I need to weigh out the risks and the rewards for going down different avenues. You've got, film festivals, you've got streaming, you've got releasing it your own way, you've got screening tours. There's so many options now that it's hard to decide which is best for the film. But rest assured, you will be the first to know once the film is ready for release. I will be shouting it from the rooftops for a very long time. So when it's ready, you will know. And then lastly, the question I get asked very, very often, which is amazing, is how can I help? And there's a few ways that you can help. I understand right now everyone is doing it tough, myself included. Money is incredibly tight, and I know I'm not alone in that. So if you aren't in a position to donate, I completely understand. And the best things that you can do really are subscribe to my newsletter, which is on the homepage of my website, which is www.onthefencefilm.com.au. You can share my blog posts, you can share the link to my donation pages, you can share my YouTube channel, share it with people you think will like it, share it with people you think that won't like it. As many people that can see it, I think, is the best way that you can help for free. If you are in a position to make a donation, there is a link on my website to donate directly to the funds for On The Fence. And lastly, the best bang for buck way of contributing to On The Fence is by purchasing a photography print. So obviously I'm fortunate enough to travel to some incredible places around Australia and film dingoes and other wildlife in some incredible, beautiful places. And in doing that, I've collected a huge archive of amazing photos of dingoes. And in the past, I've sold them as big prints for you to hang up in your house, your office, wherever. And they've been received really well. So I've started up my web store again, and there are an abundance of photos on there for you to purchase. I have A4, A3, A2, and A1. So whatever budget, there is an option for you. So any donations that you make, any purchases you make, 100% of those profits go directly to supporting On The Fence. Lastly, I wanted to say a huge, huge thank you to everyone who's reached out in the last 12 months. I've been pretty quiet, and that has been intentional, and it has been incredibly refreshing. And this last year, I would say, has been probably the best of my life, which is a massive claim, but I have never been happier. And a big part of that is that I'm constantly working towards an amazing project that I feel really, really inspired and passionate by. And I'm fortunate enough to work on this project with the most amazing human being I've ever met. I'm incredibly grateful for anyone who's reached out and sent an email or contacted me in these 12 months. Your support means the absolute world to me, so thank you. I've been working my ass off for a very, very long time now, and it finally feels like I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. And I haven't been able to say that for a very, very long time. So if you've made it this far, thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for absolutely everything that you, the audience, have done for the film. I'm going to take you along for the rest of the editing journey, just as I have for the filming journey. And I can't wait for you to see the finished product.